Subscribe to AmpCode and ring the notification bell to get the latest content.
Hello and welcome back. So far we have learned all about different APIs of Apache Spark, and also we have seen all about the basic tools and technologies in the Hadoop. So we have covered all the basic stuff needed to get you into a data engineering role. So this lecture is all about Spark cluster deployment as well as optimization, and this will not be limited to only Spark. We are going to see how to optimize and different deployment modes of Hadoop as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first question will come into your mind is why we need to understand the different deployment modes as well as how to optimize the workloads, because everyone will know the basics, but to have a capability to build a data driven solution which is optimized for a production environment, that is a big task, and many of us will struggle whenever we are handling big data. And to handle big data, you should be knowing all the bits and pieces of how some application works under the hood. So we have already seen all about the Hadoop architecture and the Spark architecture, but let's refresh that in the first 1 or 2 minutes. So first, let's talk about the Spark architecture. The first major component of Spark architecture is the resource manager. So resource manager is nothing but responsible to manage all the resources and tasks across the Spark cluster. So Spark will give us the capability to use different resource managers. So it can leverage the Yarn, which is the resource manager for Hadoop, and it is an integral part of the Hadoop ecosystem. It can also support the Mesos as well as the Kubernetes, which is really popular nowadays. So the main job of cluster manager is managing all the resources and the tasks, and also check the health of all the worker nodes which are there in the cluster. So as you can see, cluster manager is communicating with the worker nodes as well as the driver program. So the next component in our architecture is the application master. So application master is nothing but a program which is responsible to maintain the fault tolerance as well as check the status of the Spark application and have the authority of managing the Spark application which is submitted on the cluster, and it communicates with the driver program with the health and status of the Spark application. So that is all about the application master. And then we have the containers. So the container is nothing but we can call it as a virtual machine, which is nothing but a process which runs on the worker nodes, and it is assigned with certain amount of the resources. And also these containers are nothing but created by the resource managers, and it could be the Yarn or Mesos, whatever the deployment mode and resource manager you're utilizing. And executor is nothing but it is installed on every worker node. So executor is nothing but a program which actually does the groundwork. So as you can see, on executor different tasks will be executed and it is submitted by the application master. So application master is responsible for creating the executor, which is nothing but a small set of work which is running on every worker node in the cluster in a parallel way. So this is the basics of the Spark architecture, but there are some different deployment mode that you should be aware of if you want to build a data driven solution using Apache Spark for your organization. So let's discuss that now. So let's talk about the first deployment mode. So our first deployment mode is the client mode. So the first one is the client mode. So basically in client mode you have the client. So basically this you can say it as a client machine. So we have the client machine, and once the client has submitted the application, so in this case the Spark session or the Spark context is created inside the local machine of the client. So this we can say it as the Spark session. So this is our Spark session which is created by the Spark client machine, and the next step would be it will get submitted to the cluster, but it is not a straightforward process. The first thing is like the client machine is communicating with the resource manager here. So let's say we have the resource manager as the Yarn. So Yarn is nothing but an integral part of Hadoop and is like the yet another resource negotiator for Hadoop. So basically Yarn is responsible to create a Yarn application, which is then it communicates the same with the application master. So here we have the next component as the application master. And application master also gives all the status on and health of the cluster back to the resource manager, which is Yan in this case. And also application master is responsible to create all the executors. So executors, we can say it as the worker nodes. So here we have different executors here which are working in parallel and doing all the groundwork. So basically these are all interconnected to each other to maintain the fault tolerance as well as high availability of the system. So we can call all these as the executors. So these executors are created by the application master, and executors are nothing but the set of works, or we can say it as a process which runs the different tasks across the worker nodes, and it can do multiple tasks in parallel as well concurrently as per the query plan which is provided by the Spark. So basically this is managed by the application master as well as the resource manager, and once the output is there, that will get submitted to the client using the resource manager. So this is how the client mode works under the hood. So basically this client mode setup is not suitable for the production environment. You can use it as a debugging because you will able to get all the output to your own client machine. So since the Spark session is created in our own local machine, that's why client mode is so much suitable to process the data, the big data efficiently, as well as get the output on the console itself. But there is a next mode which is production ready, which is the cluster mode. So the only difference between the cluster mode is like we will submit the Spark submit application from the client, and then the driver is there on the application master. Let's discuss that in detail. So here the only difference is like application master will create the driver here, and driver will communicate with the Yan. So here the Spark session is created on this driver and not on the client machine. So that's why cluster mode is more suitable for the production environment, because all the control is there on the resource manager as well as the driver which is created by the application master, and we will only be responsible to kick off the whole process. So that's why cluster mode is way more suitable in the production environment. And the last one is the local mode. So local mode is pretty straightforward. We don't have any cluster, so we just have a single machine, and Spark will run all the process on a single machine on all cores of that machine. So here it is more suitable for like testing, debugging, or the development, because here this is very hassle free. So we don't have to worry about the Spark cluster configuration as well as the optimization, since we will not be handling big data for testing purposes or debugging purposes. So submitting your application as a local mode is only limited to your own machine and not the cluster which is working in parallel to process huge chunks of data. So you may ask which solution is right for my project. So let's say if you are doing a research and development work, then using the local mode is also way more suitable. But if you are handling like a big data which is stored on a cluster, then you can use client mode as well to crunch the big data and get the meaning out of it. But you in your production development, you should always submit and configure your Spark workloads in the cluster mode, because it will give you the whole capability and configuration to get the most out of the Spark architecture. So this is all about the deployment modes. Now let's talk about what are the different optimization strategies for your Spark application. So since we have seen all about the cache, and also we have seen some example where the cache can come in the picture, and we have seen the huge performance improvement using the caching and persisting strategies. But there are some few more techniques that you need to be aware of while building your Spark application.
So that's it for today. I'll see you in the next lecture.